Hi, my name is Jonathan Hopp. This is SundayGoLessons.com. This is my friend Ben. Say hi to people in TV land.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I'm a beginning level Go player.
Ben's just started fairly recently. He knows the rules, he knows some basic stuff, but we're going to go over shapes today. How our stones connect and how we can disconnect our opponent's stones. So there's different kinds of shapes. Some shapes are slow, some shapes are fast. Some shapes are strong, some shapes are weak. By slow, I mean that the shape does not cover a lot of ground. Slow shapes cover a little ground, but they're very strong, while fast shapes cover a lot of ground, but it's very easy to cut them apart. So basically the poster child of slow shapes is the iron pillar, which is two stones directly connected to each other like so. You can't break them apart. If you're going to capture it, you're going to have to surround the entire group itself. However, this shape is slow. If we were trying to take territory with this shape, then we would only get like a little bit like this. One at a time, one stone, and then we would only slowly grab territory. So we want to only use this shape not when we're trying to get large swaths of territory, but when we're really trying to defend ourselves and make sure our opponent doesn't attack us. Similar shape is diagonal. The Japanese word for this shape is kosumi, but we'll just use diagonal since I like using English terms. The diagonal is pretty hard to cut. Ben, if you want to cut this shape, how would you do it?
I might try by cutting it here or here.
Okay. Normally black would play like this, and then to cover his weakness. But if you get a second move, then right, you just cut it. This shape is not as strong as the iron pillar because it's possible to cut it, but you need two consecutive moves to do it. One here, and then you get a second one here, and then now you get this cross-cut shape. Right, next one up is the one-space jump, which a lot of beginners' friends. This shape is a lot faster. If we're going to make territory with this shape like so, we can do a lot faster than with an iron pillar. We gain a lot more ground with fewer moves, and it's also pretty solid. However, how would you try to cut this shape, Ben?
Well, I'd probably try placing the stone in the middle.
Okay. And we're going to need a couple more stones to completely cut the entire shape apart. So for instance, like this. I have 3 stones. I can make sure these 2 stones cannot come together. So for instance, if I actually did want to connect them, they'd have to weave around the shape like this. And we're not going to get 3 consecutive moves in a row and go. That just does not happen. So as far as we're concerned, once black gets into this shape, he's cut. He can't connect. So as you can see, as we're getting a little bit further apart, yeah, we can create cutting points. So we want to balance strong versus weak. I want to take territory, but I don't want my opponent to cut me straight in half. Right, the next one up is the Keima. It's the knight's move, an L shape. So you have a shape like this. And what do you think are the weaknesses, Ben?
Well, it's a little further spread apart than the previous shape, so there's more space in between here.
Right.
So if I were to try to cut it, I would probably place a stone here or here.
Okay, that's called the waist of the Keima. So you picture this like a horse. You attack at the waist. And black will, of course, block and try to maintain his connection, but the problem is that he still has a cutting point even when he blocks. White could play like that, and then he's cut. What we don't want, what we always want to avoid, are these shapes where we get like skewered by our opponent. So this is terrible for black. We don't want this. You think of a move, and you're thinking, okay, I want to play somewhere. Make sure you're not making this shape for yourself. Keimas are good for attacking and for running away with the group. So if you're not really worried about being cut, then you can use them. If you are, you should stick with stronger shapes. Alright, this shape is a 2-space jump, and now we're starting into the shapes that are pretty weak and have a lot of different ways to cut them. Where might you start, Ben?
Like the previous shape, I would probably start by trying to cut it in the middle, here or here.
Okay, it's symmetrical, so what if black plays this? I want to take a liberty away from the stone.
I might play here,
Okay.
or I might play here.
You could cross-cut just directly if you want, if the board position permits it. You also could play like this. Black will try to maintain low liberties, and then, well, you've got 2 cutting points. If you don't worry about these 2 stones getting captured, you can cut on either side. You can play like this. So this shape actually gets pretty weak. As you get better, you could do all sorts of things with this shape. You could directly cut, as you said earlier. You could even play this to try to keep black disconnected. However, that sort of stuff is when you get a lot better at reading. Now we have the large Keima, which is one of the weakest shapes that there is. So actually, there's a lot of ways to attack this. Give me some examples.
Well, probably any of the points in here.
Yeah, all of those work. So for instance, let's tackle the waist. White plays like this, black blocks. White pushes forward, that works. You're not worried about these two stones being captured, you cut like this. You could push through like so, and then cut. So no matter really what happens, black is going to end up with some sort of cutting point. Alright, well I think we got our shapes down. Let's talk some more about... Well, I already talked about some bad shapes before where we had the different types of shapes, like the one space jumper that came relatively spirit through them. So we're going to talk about just 3 shapes I really want you to avoid in your games. The first one is the empty triangle. This is pretty infamous in the Go community. They always tell us when we first begin Go, don't make the empty triangle. Well, Ben, why do you think this shape might not be so good?
I don't know, at first it seems like it could be good, but it seems like it's not really doing anything. It might, I mean, maybe if there were a white piece here, but
Well, if there's a white piece here, it's called a full triangle, and that's fine, as long as we're hurting our opponent and reducing his liberties. This white only has 2 liberties, so that's okay. With a full triangle, that's perfectly fine. When we don't have this stone here, we have, what ends up happening is, these 3 black stones run low on liberties quite quickly, as opposed to whether if they were spaced apart or if they were like one space jumps, for instance, we could use their liberties. These are all actually just solidly connected to one another, so when you lose liberties, you lose all your stones. You can't just lock one side of it off and save the other half. So just take my word for it right now. Avoid empty triangles. There will be points in your Go playing career where the empty triangle is the only move. But for right now, just kind of leave out your game. The cousin of the empty triangle is well, in Japanese they call it the stupid 4, and it's just a block. There's no eyes, there's no territory, and you could do a lot better with these stones in terms of the liberty department. So I'm sure you understand why this is a bad move. The last one we'll go over is called the elephant eye. Why do you think this is a bad shape, Ben?
well, they're separated, so they don't really seem to be doing a lot to help each other take territory.
Right.
And it seems like it could be cut very easily.
How would you cut it?
I might place one right here in the center.
Okay, and if I play this?
I might play one down here, or over here, or even up here.
Which one do you want to go with?
I'm going to play right here.
Okay, excellent. This is the Kama, the knight's move, and now white is spearing right in between the 2 stones so they can't connect, so this is why this is a bad shape. You could, under certain circumstances, play this. Very, very hard to play this move, though, because after I cut here, you have 2 stones with only 2 liberties, so you're going to have to save one of them. So it's a lot easier just to spear right through. As far as this one, again, low on liberties. Black will block here, and then white will just cut, so you have this inside group, but if you're okay with that, then this could possibly work. I don't want to restrict your thinking as far as moves, so I don't want you to think, oh, this is absolutely a bad move. I saw it in this lecture, I just cannot play this move. Try to be more flexible, try to learn to read. In fact, purposely make bad moves so that you actually learn why that they're bad, and you have that experience, and so you know how to avoid them next time. So now we'll move on to Tesuji. So the next topic we'll cover are what's called Tesuji. Tesuji is a Japanese word, and it doesn't quite neatly translate into English, but we can describe it as a move that fulfills a tactical objective so well that your opponent has little recourse. So let's take this example right here. We have a white stone, we have 2 black stones, well, 2 black stones here and 1 white stone here. We can capture this white stone completely, so where white cannot run away. So how would you capture this white stone, Ben? With the board just the way it is.
Maybe I could try placing it here, trying to funnel it to come out, or maybe come out this way.
Okay, I run away.
Oh, that's not going to work, is it?
Well, try it. What happens if you play here?
Right here.
Okay, run away again. I run away again. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 liberties. And you have a lot of cutting points. So cutting point here, cutting point here. This one space jump with the open space in the middle. And then I can push through. So you're having a lot of weak shape, and I have a lot of liberties. So this move doesn't quite work.
All right. How about I try here?
Good
Creating
start. Good start. All right. I run away.
Maybe I could try here.
It's hard. I run away. 1, 2, 3 liberties.
That's not going to work, is it?
Nope. You had the right idea. This was a good move.
Okay. So maybe I try here.
Perfect.
Last option.
If I run away.
I could try up here.
If I run away.
here.
So actually, this is going to go on forever. So white will just go like, black will keep Ataring white. So white plays here, Atari, 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 all the way up as a ladder. It'll eventually reach the edge of the board. And then, well, then white's dead. This is called a ladder trap. And it's very important that we are able to learn this type of move. Because it's going to be a little taxing to read, because when we look at the board, you have to think of yourself, make a zigzag line in your head. So you start here, and you go like this in your mind. And you know the ladder goes like this, all the way up the board. The reason that's important is because there's such a thing called a ladder breaker. And I'll show you what that is. So let's say you have a ladder like this. Let's say white has a stone already in place. So here, Ben, try to run away.
All right.
Right place there. Tari. Okay, give it Blackstone. Tari. Tari again. You run away. Tari. And then you connect. And so now look at black shape. What do you think's wrong with black shape? We got all of these stones on the side. And we have a lot of stones with just 2 liberties. So like this stone has 2 liberties, this one has 2 liberties.
It's just a lot of cutting points on the outside of
Yeah, exactly. So let's say white plays something like this. Double Atari. Atari on this stone, Atari on this stone. One of the stones is dead. So we want to make sure that's why we need to read ladders. Always read ladders. I know it's tough when you're a beginner, but just make it an imaginary zigzag line, because we don't want this to happen where there's a ladder breaker and our ladder gets broken. And we end up having this awful wall on the outside. Ladders are extremely important. But there are times when there's a ladder breaker and we can still capture a stone. So for instance here, we can't ladder the stones, we already said. This stone's in the way. But there is a way we can capture this stone without using a ladder. Give it a try. Okay, you're going to ladder the stone. Same problem as before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so the ladder doesn't work. What's nice is that there's only so many moves to think about, right? This is a small area. Get ladder from the other direction. What are you thinking? Okay. Sorry again. Here, come out. What are you thinking, Ben? I run away. 3 liberties. And what's wrong with your shape?
It's cuttable.
Yeah, it's got lots and lots of cutting points. So, trying these ladders or trying to force me out, it just doesn't work. So, there's got to be another way. In fact, we use what's called a net. And a net looks like this. Now, try to run away as white.
Okay.
Alright, Atari. How many liberties does white have?
1.
Bam. All the white stones get captured, so there really was no way for white to escape there. Once white's here, the ladder doesn't work, well, you can just use net. There's many different kinds of nets. There's big nets, there's small nets, but this is a small basic net. Nets also have a weakness. So ladder breaker's weakness is there's a ladder breaker. Ladder's weakness is that there's a ladder breaker. The next weakness for a net is that the outside of the net is low on liberties. So for instance, let's say we have a net like this. Now we try our net. Now what does white do?
I'd probably play here, putting these stones into Atari.
When I come out, what do you do? Perfect. 3 liberties. Even if I chase you, what happens?
Okay. Just place one right there, and I still have 3 liberties here.
Yeah, you can just come right out. And one right there, you have 4 total liberties. These stones look pretty much hit. So yeah, if you have the part of the net that's weak or low on liberties, so for instance in here, we go back to the original spot. This net, these 2 stones only have 2 liberties. This is the weak part of the net, and so now white can just push his way out. So these are the two ways we capture stones. We capture stones with either a ladder or a net. If you don't have either, then the stone is not killable. All right, we'll go on to some good shapes now that we know there's these testages.